Martial arts instructors concern themselves quite often with just the teaching of a skill or a technique. The main reason why students will quit and get despondent is that technique doesn't work in all situations. So a student really has to be taught how to deal with a problem. So it's not just about repeating a technique over and over again as shown by an instructor. An elite instructor must explain how students can handle difficult situations on the dojo floor and in life. Here's an explanation of how it's worked out. To finalise this week's overview, I want to talk about two things that an assistant and an instructor will do to be able to take a student from a very basic level to an advanced level. Quite often, if I'm asking an assistant to be able to explain something to a class or to a group of students, they'll find it very easy if I tell them a technique to explain or a drill. So if I say, right, I want a forearm block and a straight right punch from a push kick attack or whatever. So it's quite easy for me to get an instructor, even if they've never taken a class before. I just say, get them to do a forearm block and a straight right punch and drill that. So he'll quite happily, even if he's nervous, he probably will be able to do a good job. The problem is when I get him or her to teach a concept. Like, for example, feinting in sparring. And I mean F-E-I-N-T. Feinting means faking, not fainting as in going out cold. Feinting in sparring. Faking a technique. Circling around an opponent. Shooting a technique high when your aim is to score low. Or shooting a technique low when your aim is to score high. How about if we change the pace occasionally? So that we start moving slowly so the person thinks that my cadence or my speed is relatively moderate or slow, and then suddenly speeding up out of the gate to be able to catch them by surprise. How about establishing a backwards motion as you're sparring and suddenly changing to go forward? See, these types of things aren't necessarily explained easily. Techniques are left punch, right punch, kick, knee, elbow, kimura, figure four, leg lock, headlock. All those things are techniques because you go, oh, do this, then this, then this. These are the three portions. These are the three steps. Whereas if you're talking about a concept, it's a little bit harder to get the message across. So as an assistant, concentrate on the technical aspects of the class. If you're an instructor, you need to step back to watch how you can improve the performance of your students or the students in your class. It may not just be telling them to go faster. You have to think about the problems they're going to experience in the performance of their martial arts as they're actively practicing, or probably as they're putting it into practice in a pressure situation, because you as the instructor are the one who knows best. You've seen a person learn a technique, try to put it into practice and come up short. You've probably experienced it yourself. So you know that when you've taught technique A, they're going to perform it relatively well. But the minute we take them over into a situation over here and put some pressure on it, everything falls to bits. So we've got to think, how can we deal with that situation before the student gets demoralised? Who knows? It may be necessary for them to be demoralised occasionally. But as an instructor, you should give them some way of dealing with it. And that is the concept as opposed to the technique that we're teaching them. Quite a complex area of martial arts instruction to be able to deal with. But at week 3, we are moving into more complex methods of being an instructor and not just teaching a technique. It's more or less how to handle difficulty and your skills and therefore drills of dealing with an onrushing opponent or someone who's taller or someone who's short and doesn't move or someone who's obstinate. It's those types of things that are going to help the student get around that problem, because that's the things that make martial arts students quit. They get frustrated, they've got no way of dealing with it, so they quit. That's where your skill as an instructor is going to have a real impact. Good luck.